Cole Scott from Mobile Geeks, and here we are at Sun Yat-sen Memorial Hall in Taipei, and we're going to be reviewing the HTC Desire 816. The HTC Desire 816 comes with a 5.5-inch Super LCD 2 display with a resolution of 720 by 1280. Under the hood, it comes with a 1.6 GHz quad-core Qualcomm Snapdragon 400 processor with 1.5 GB of RAM and 8 GB of internal memory. It can be expanded up to 128 through a microSD card. It sports a 13 megapixel shooter on the back with an autofocus and LED flash, and on the front we have a 5 megapixel selfie cam. So what we have here is a mid-range phone. It is made of plastic, and the plastic actually does creak just a little bit when you're holding it. When you hold it in your hand like this, you'll get the occasional which is a little bit strange, but other than that, it feels very nice. It has, I almost thought, kind of the iPhone 5C, because it feels like a very solid, well-built plastic phone, right? But it feels very compact. The buttons are very high-end. I like how they have this kind of two-tone here on the side. It's nice and flat matte here. Around the back, we do have some issues with some fingerprinting. The white version actually isn't as bad as this one, right? If you kind of head to the bottom, we have one micro USB port, and if we're looking at the front, what I especially like about this phone is that we have these rows of holes there for the dual front-facing speakers, but it definitely reminds me of the HTC Boom sound, so it has that HTC One high-end kind of iteration on the front. Overall, pretty satisfied with the build. I do wish that they had kept the capacitive buttons on the physical handset rather than on screen.
So just zooming in now on the display itself, it's a 720p, which is 1280 by 720 pixels. And it looks quite good. It's LCD2, not LCD3 like what we saw in the HTC One M8. Let's just go into here and make sure we've got our brightness. Let's turn this up to full. So as you can see, it is quite bright, but it's not the brightest screen that we've ever seen. Having said that, the colors look quite good, look quite vivid. Let's have a look at these blacks again here, these darker tones at the top. Yeah, not bad. Let me just zoom into this turtle guy here. Yeah, I mean, this isn't quite the same quality as we've seen on some of the flagship devices, but this isn't a flagship phone, so it's fair enough. Okay, let's go check out how it deals with sunlight. Let's go outside. So just checking out the viewing angles here in the 816, and actually we have to say we're pretty impressed. The colors are consistent at all angles. It's just that it's raining here. It's not that bright. The only thing I would say is that I think on a very sunshiny day, this level of brightness might be a little bit of an issue. But apart from that, no, great viewing angles. We love it.
So what we have here on the front is a 5 megapixel selfie cam. So I can just tap it to count down. And if we head on to the front, that's a ridiculous face. Let's just get out of that right now. But if we change modes, you can see that we have video and camera. So on the back, we have a 13 megapixel rear-facing camera. So HTC is capable of doing a higher resolution camera. This doesn't have the ultra pixel like the HTC M8. These are just 13 megapixels, regular size pixels. So even though this isn't the HTC One M8, there's still a lot of high-end quality features. So there's obviously auto. You can control the ISO. We have the exposure down here. There it is. The scrolling scale over there. White balance, auto white balance, or take it off. And then we also have a bunch of filters that you can throw on real time, right? So you can just see the world through the Instagram, through Instagram basically. But if we head on into settings, you can see that we can crop it. We can choose resolution size. You can turn the grid off for shooting. Review period, self-timer, storage, etc. Right? So there's a lot of really high-end features, but let's just see how quickly you can take photos using this. And that's one of the things that you have to love about HTC. They take fast photos on all of their handsets. So there are some really neat features in the settings. Let's take a closer look. So if you look at the volume button, we have the option for capture or zoom, which is quite cool. You can save a custom camera, so if you get the exact settings that you want on some particular shots, you can actually save those as custom settings, which is a very cool feature from the HTC One. And now let's take a look at some sample shots from the HTC Desire 816.
So, of course, one of the really cool things that HTC has prioritized with recent handset design, of course, the HTC One and the new One M8 is the audio. And again, here on the 816, we see we've got two speakers either side. But can they perform anywhere close to what we've seen on the M8? Well, let's have a look. So we'll play this track. Okay, that's quite quiet. Let's see where we. Wow. That is impressive. Okay, well, I'm not sure if you're getting that, but I'm telling you, that is pretty loud. Okay, let's quickly just go into a game so we can see how that is. Okay, so again, crank it up. Wow. I'm sure a lot of young people are really going to annoy their grandparents with this. That's awesome. It's not quite as loud as the M8 or even the M7, but I'm telling you, for a mid-range device, HTC once again are onto a winner with their audio.
Whether or not you're a fan of HTC Sense 6, you have to respect the fact that there isn't a lot of bloatware on this device at launch. If we take a look around, it's what exactly you get on any HTC Sense 6 phones. There's blink feed. If you swipe to the left and to the right, you get your traditional Android panels. Now, if we head into settings, it has everything that we're used to with an HTC phone, the Do Not Disturb, which is really great, extreme power saving, Bluetooth, NFC, AirPlane, of course, everything. An HTC Mini is also a pretty cool feature if you have this additional little handset to turn your phone on and off. But if we head to settings, you can see that it's kind of what you expect from an HTC phone. You can personalize it with all of their great home screens and wallpapers. There's even an easy mode if this is too complicated for you or a loved one, well, most likely a loved one. Apps and widgets, you can manage your home screen. What's really interesting is that when you look at the widgets, HTC hasn't come up with any original ones. They're all kind of Google's widgets. Oppo with the Find has some really interesting widgets to offer. Now, if you don't like blink feed, you can manage your home screen pages here and you can just remove it. Now, when it comes to other features in the back end, if we head into settings, there are some cool things, like you can get your content from other phones, display, you can do some gestures as well. Daydream, which I always love, screen timeouts. Yeah, I mean, everything is what you expect from Android and Sense 6. And then, as always, on any HTC phone, there is the Zoe feature that automatically creates cool content for you. So we have a Snapdragon 400 CPU, 1GB of RAM, Adreno 305 GPU. All of these specs are completely stand up in what I expect from a mid-range smartphone.
Absolutely, 720p screen. Yep, this is a mid-range 5.5-inch smartphone. So in terms of build quality, we do have a few, well, one major little issue, right? And it's, I don't know if you guys can pick this up, but there's definitely some creakiness going on here with the build of it. It's a plastic back, and
it feels good in the hand.
Yeah.
But when you grab it, and you know how you really grab your phone, you can you get that every once in a while, which is not exactly settling.
Yeah. I think the other thing I'd say also with build quality, well, also maybe the design, is why are the buttons on the left-hand side here as well? I keep grabbing it and it's not really working for me.
Well, this is something that we were talking about, that I said that this is the perfect phone for left-handed people because the thumb of the left hand comes up perfectly right here and it sits perfectly. But then someone else pointed out that it's a phablet, so they're grabbing the phone at the top, so that your index finger would be on the button here at the top. So either it's really good for left-handed people but generally most smartphones provide a straight-up right-handed experience with your thumb right over on the middle here. So I think that it's a kind of interesting design feature.
It's a little unusual. I think they should call it the HTC Southpaw or something. So on the HTC One M8, we have LCD 3.
And here we have LCD 2. So this is 5.5 inch, 720p display.
Yeah.
I think the colors look like relatively good. It's pretty decent in outdoor viewing, but you're right, it is last year's display technology, not...
Is it immediately apparent, do you think, if you compare head to head? I'd say for me that the M8 was a bit brighter and the colors seemed a little bit more vivid.
Yeah, I'd agree. And the viewing angles outside a little more crisp.
For sure.
So 13 megapixel on the back, 5 on the front, so it's a hardcore selfie camera, which I guess is really big in the Asian markets or globally actually for the selfie phenomena.
Yeah, and they're going to they're kind of keeping to the megapixel race. They're steering clear of the ultra pixel route that they've taken with the M8. And we're also seeing you're getting kind of fewer features.
Yeah, that's true. So you only have camera, video, and selfie on this one, and then you have a million other features built into that one. And one of the other things that I found kind of interesting is that a lot of the really cool features on the M8, like the depth of field, the 3D, but all of those are kind of focused on the hardware, right?
Right.
But even here, Zoe, it's not working. It's saying like, check for updates later, right? And there just seems to be no ability to add that. And that's a really cool HTC software camera feature that kind of made them stand out. So I'm kind of sad that that's not there.
It's like they've stripped out a few of the exclusive features in an attempt to differentiate with their high-end models.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, one of the things we were talking about earlier is that when the iPhone 5S versus the iPhone 5C, you get all the same features, you just get different build quality.
Right. So during the gameplay demo and testing, it was actually fantastic to have the two speakers either side here. You can hear a real stereo kind of experience. And if I just crank this up for you, you can experience just how loud it gets.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to show a video to your friends or you need to share any kind of media, this is going to be like a really good, nice device for it because it's 5.5 inches with, I'm not going to call it bass, but I'm going to call it it's present.
Yeah, it's a full of sound. It's not tinny. There's no way you could describe this as tinny, for sure. So in the 816, you're getting a Snapdragon 400 from Qualcomm, which isn't going to win any benchmark competitions anytime soon. But we did install plenty of quite demanding games, and it played them absolutely perfectly. It was a very similar experience to what we had on the high-end devices.
So it'll last you a day with moderate usage, but when I was doing all the benchmarks and some of the game testing, the battery life just went really low. Yeah, heavy use, just forget it.
But you do have a power saving mode, right?
That's true. There is power saving and extreme power saving, right? So you do have the two options if you kind of want to push through.
Right.
But if you're a heavy user, 2,600 milliamperes on a 5.5 inch display just might not be enough. And no removable battery.
Yeah, it doesn't come out, right? So you can't switch. You can't have a spare in your bag, right? That's a no-no. Pretty slick.
It's fast.
Yep.
I mean, it might be Snapdragon 400, but of course it can manage Android 4.4 perfectly fine. It's fast, it's quick, I think it's quite snappy. And I don't know if it's that I've been using a lot more HTC phones lately, but Sense 6 is growing on me a little bit, especially since I can hide blink feed.
Yeah, I think this is the best version of Sense that they've created so far, and I'm impressed. I mean, I never thought Sense was that bad in the first place, but it's impressive. And
there's very little bloatware, which I think HTC, everyone should follow suit.
Less bloatware.
So 20,000 Taiwan dollars versus 10,000 Taiwan dollars. This is half the price.
So you're saying that's a bargain? Because, well, I've got news for you, right? The Xiaomi Mi 3, is less than that. It's 8,200. You're getting a HD screen. You're getting a Snapdragon 800. You're getting 2 gigs of RAM. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah, I may not have an argument anymore after that one.
No, I think HTC, just like all the other vendors, are in a very, very aggressive environment right now. So
the mid-range is a very difficult place to be, I think, and
Right.
it's true. If you put this up against the Xiaomi with the Snapdragon 800, and it's smaller though, right?
It
so
is
what
smaller.
else is kind of in there in the 5.5 inch range? There's the we just reviewed the Zenfone 6,
that's right. And we
right?
also
That's
have
6,000 NT.
there's the Redmi Note as well,
The Redmi Note as well.
which is also very aggressively priced.
This one's between this one and the Redmi Note, I think I like this one a little bit better, just because I like the design of this one a little bit better.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
Yeah. But do you think that if you're somebody, right, and everyone's got it, everyone has a flagship phone, right?
Yes.
Like pretty much all my friends, they all have flagship phones.
Yeah.
But if I wanted to get something like this, what am I really like missing for the price? Like, what am I giving up? So it would be
You're not getting a full HD screen.
not getting a full HD
Yeah.
screen,
Which I think is it's huge.
but so I'm going to take a hit on color saturation, pixel density, and if I'm like really obsessed with showing people photos, then
Yeah.
maybe that won't be as cool. Gaming, we're going to take a hit on gaming,
Yeah.
but with the lower processor, the Snapdragon 400,
I don't think that's such a huge deal, actually.
well, it makes it easier for the processor with the lower resolution display, right? Because it's only 720p, then it doesn't have to pump out quite as much.
That's true. Fewer pixels.
Fewer
for the
pixels
GPU
for the GPU to deal
Yeah.
with. So
Okay.
that's kind of cool. So maybe that's why you didn't experience any real huge issues with the gameplay.
Yeah, I guess it's low resolution screen, so the GPU handled it really well.
So half the price. So between say the Xiaomi, which is your daily driver actually.
Well, this has been my daily
is-
drive for a
yeah.
while now, and I don't know how you can beat this guy.
He's in love with it.
Sorry.
He's totally in love with it. No, but I mean it's totally a fair point. So this is like a $60 price range difference, basically, right? I think the pricing is pretty aggressive. It's in an interesting place, but you know, what are you really getting for so much more phone? I guess you can use this as a TV remote. I mean, it's just.
I think with the
It's just
one M8
features.
here, you have the build quality, the best build quality probably available
Ever.
right now.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
So
yeah.
that's huge. Once you've got used to this guy, even going back to the Mi 3 or to the 816 here,
Yeah, this
and look at the fingerprints on this fella.
it's gross.
Yeah.
It's gross. But I mean, the white one is a little bit less, and if you got a case on it, then maybe it won't be so bad. But I mean, it's true. The hand feel on something like the M8
Yeah.
is
I mean,
unbelievable.
It's a difference in class.
But it's
right?
half the price, so I guess that's what it comes down to. But for
Sure.
me, for half the price, you're giving up a lot of the features, right? So you need to be okay with your phone just more being about social networking, picture taking, basic work email stuff.
And looking less sexy.
Looking less. The font's pretty sexy. Look at those little dots there. Rawr.
Not convinced.
720p display, Snapdragon 400, decent build quality, very stand-up camera, and I think the price point is all right.
I think, if you'd have said that 6 months ago, if this had arrived on the market 6 months ago, that all of that would have been true. But now that you have players like Xiaomi and their Mi 3 and now also OnePlus, I think the scene has changed, and HTC, along with all the other big players, they're going to have to address that.
Yeah, this mid-range market is very, very price sensitive, and
Right.
though I think that this is a decent product for the price, you're right, doesn't live in a bubble.
It'll be interesting to see how HTC react in terms of price as the months go on.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was our look at the Desire 816.
Thanks for watching.
What?